We're good? Welcome, everybody. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
Councilmember Daniele?
Present.
Councilmember Istvan?
Present.
Supervisor Abra?
Present.
Councilmember Foreman?
Here.
Councilmember Rye?
Here. Okay. There's no agenda to adopt. I'm sorry, I make a motion, I present a motion to adopt the agenda. Can I have a second?
Second.
Daniele, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. We have no minutes, right?
No.
All right.
You have taxes.
You have tax season, right? Yep. Next up is privilege of the floor for general town items. When you speak, please no personal attacks on any board member or anybody else in the audience, and do not mention any employees' names. Besides that, you can say what you want. Anybody like to speak?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Kevin, Wheaton Avenue. Just want to say, I appreciate you guys allowing us to speak here and have our voice in the town. I'd also like to say thank you to all who showed up at the village meeting, especially the people from the board here, to show your support. And it really shows that you're representing us and you hear us. And that's all I want to say. So thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yeah, come on.
How you doing? Mike Horn. As you all know, I have a petition for the keeping of chickens in this town before you tonight, and I would really like your support with it. This has been going on for way too long, and we really would like to get this resolved tonight.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. My supervisor comments will be brief. As you see that we're all dressed in solidarity for the people of Ukraine. I appreciate that from all the board members have shown that same support. And that's pretty much all I have for today. I've got the liaison report. I'll start with Louise.
Okay, I have a few things. For water, I hope everyone saw the eGov with the pictures that I took from the Brinkerhoff pump house. If not, I'll just describe that I met with Mike Tremper from Camo last week, and he showed me all the upgrades that his company has been doing, which include a new chlorine room. It has a 24-hour chlorine monitor, 24-hour pressure monitor, and a brand new pump headers, and soon there'll be a new master meter. Carmine saw them a few weeks ago when we were at the park looking at the playground, but since then, they're almost done and everything looks great. And that was stimulus money that I think was well spent. The rec center, on February 22nd, I met with Jay, Lauren, Marianne, and Councilman Rye, who wanted to meet to discuss possible potential program suggestions that he had. He can explain the Shakespeare suggestion when he gets to his turn to speak. Jay said he would look into all of his suggestions. I also attended card bingo on Monday and played with the seniors, which I enjoyed. My time playing with them. I'll be there again next Monday at 9:30 if anybody wants to join us. You can contact Marianne and the rec center to sign up. Marianne has also put together the rec center's first trip since before COVID. It's an overnight trip to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, to see a show at the Sight and Sound Theater. So if anybody wants information on that, they can look on the Facebook, they can look on the rec center website, or I have flyers that I can leave also. Hopefully everybody can go. There's 53 seats on the bus, so just sign up and hopefully get out of your house and enjoy. Lastly, the supervisor advised that a few seniors requested that we put up a rail in front of the rec center door for safety, so I asked Carmine to help me look into that, which he said he's going to talk about when we get to it. Hopefully we can do it affordably and quickly, and the seniors will not be at any risk of falling down when they come in. The planning board, I spoke with Mr. Cantor, our planning board chair. He's diligently interviewing candidates for 2 alternate positions for the planning board. Once he narrows it down, I will advise the board and hopefully have a resolution at the next meeting for us to appoint them. Village of Fishkill, on February 22nd, I attended the Village of Fishkill trustee meeting, along with the supervisor, Councilman Foreman, and Councilman Istvan. I have to say, it was a really good feeling to be there with my fellow board members, almost all of them, to show our unity in opposing the Wesley apartment project. For those who weren't there, it's not televised. It was a room full of people, standing room only. It was wonderful to see that people actually had the opportunity to voice their views on this project. Old and young, homeowners and renters as well. I read a letter in opposition of it. Councilman Foreman read 2 citizens' letters opposing it, and former Councilmember Gadsden read a letter from legislator Yvette Valdez-Smith, also opposing it from her constituents. I think we have done all that we can do, and now we can trust that the Village of Fishkill Trustee Board will do what's right for the residents, their residents, and our residents as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Carmine?
Hi, everybody. Good to see everybody's face. A couple things. Today's presentation, you will see, is a couple things that I worked on. So I'm pretty happy about a couple things that'll be part of the presentation. Regards to the zoning board, we talked to a bunch of the people who applied. It's going pretty well. We have a couple more interviews, and then hopefully in the next meeting, jointly with the zoning and planning, we can actually make the decision who we're going to put on the boards. That's all I have at this point. When we go to the presentations, I'll speak a little bit more.
Thank you. John?
Good evening, everybody. So a week ago, I met with the Beacon Mayor, Lee Kyriakou, talked about a bunch of different topics that's on his mind, including a new sales tax distribution agreement that is really between the 2 cities and the county, but that tax money is also shared with all the towns and the villages as well. And I think that was just announced a few days ago, officially. As you just heard, I did attend the village board meeting a week ago and read a couple letters from residents who were unable to attend. Made lots of phone calls to the candidates who are interested in serving on the planning and zoning boards. And also had a meeting with Carmine, Mr. Gaba, and our building inspector about some of the issues that was brought up by a resident at the last meeting. And that's all.
Thank you. Brian?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Just to go through the items here, first of all, it was good meeting with Louise, and I appreciated meeting with the staff and discussing possibilities for the future. I hesitate naming who I'm hoping to come in because we haven't had those meetings and gotten a sense of participation. But the idea is there are some rather large creative artistic organizations. If they were to come in and do something for our seniors, it would be, I feel, a good promo for them, a good community experience for them, and bring a major add to our town and our seniors, no doubt, and whoever else we could invite as well to those events. Highway Department, we're just going to vote on some stop signs tonight. There's nothing right now to talk about. Renegades, I'm having a meeting this Friday with Steve Gleiner and Marcella, assistant, and we should be hopefully opening up some opportunities with the Renegades. As far as the drug presentation I'm working on, I informed John there's some very interesting developments, but that's also just taking a little time, and I think it's going to be a worthwhile event for the town. That what I'm hearing, because of us bringing emphasis to this critical issue and emphasizing services at the county level, that there are others that are going to be duplicating this presentation around the county. So I'm very pleased with that. And I wish I was at the meeting the other night. I couldn't. I have work. But my sentiment and position on that project is well known. So rest assured, I'm still with you.
Thank you. So we got a couple presentations tonight. The first one is going to be Video Ventures, utilizing YouTube for town meetings. Is he coming in? There he is.
I know I've missed my opportunity to speak, but if you could pass that to the supervisor. That's a comment that I have.
You want to speak at the?
If there's another opportunity
Yes,
during the
there will be.
meeting?
There will be.
Oh, fine. Hand it back, Brian.
Can I give it back to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
Peter, show
Good evening, Supervisor and Town Board members. Before we get to the new juicy part that we've been working on, I wanted to touch on a couple things that have been brought to my attention probably since I took over in here. We had sound quality problems in here, which we've just recently taken care of with the taller speakers to the side. During COVID, when the supervisor opened up the room for social distancing, we had problems in the back of the room. So at the last meeting, we tried out another one. So the room should be much fuller with sound so people can hear all you guys talking and the speakers as well. That's kind of an important part of everything. The second part of the sound has to do with Channel 22, which is our optimum feed, and Verizon Channel 40. Brought to my attention several times of how it sounds. Sometimes it's even intermittent, that the sound is garbled sometimes. The problem that we have is we have a great video system, an audio system in this building. The problem is the transmitter from both companies is from the late 1990s. Not to be replaced in God knows when. As many of you know, I work in the town of Hyde Park, the city of Beacon. We all have the same transmitter, so when you ask for a replacement, you get this same unit that they've been using. Any of you who know audio, when you hook up the sound to this system, it's the old forks that used to go on a speaker, or it's bare wire around a screw. I mean, it's that old. So that tends to be the problem where we have high-quality video and audio, but you're sending it through an old transmitter, so there's only so much volume I can give it before it starts distorting. So we're kind of at a sweet spot. The live broadcast tends to be a little more tinny than the rebroadcast because I can play with that at home on my software. But we're trying to get it as best as we can. And online as well, there's a separate, that computer is by a company called Granicus that covers your guys', what else, the minutes, the agendas, and they also run the website live feed for meetings. So I have a separate computer that sends them everything, they compress it, and they send it back to the town website. So I have zero control of what that happens. The issue with their quality, which I was told point blank, is they want to try to charge the town more money for better bandwidth. The gentleman actually told me, you could send me 4K video, you're only getting 480 back. Makes no sense, but they basically just want to charge the town for more bandwidth to get you a better signal, which to me is ridiculous. It's all going out the same cables. So what leads me to my presentation tonight is in early January, Councilmember Istvan had approached me about could we do anything to make the broadcasts sound better, because he had gotten complaints. I know Louise had gotten many complaints. And was there a way that we could do closed captioning for hearing impaired and become ADA compliant? Ironically, I was hit with the same situation in Hyde Park and Beacon all at the first of the year. So, I mean, this all got thrown at me. Beacon was actually thinking going the route of maybe getting an interpreter or something like that, which would have cost thousands of dollars. Hyde Park wanted me to look into buying a system to latch on to what we have here to do closed captioning, but it would never line up. It would be off. So I did some research and we came up with YouTube, which I was currently using up in Hyde Park. I showed it to Carmine, you know, how Hyde Park had used it. And basically what they do is when you load the video to YouTube, it's not live. So I don't want everybody to think that we're going to be live on YouTube and take away the live feed that's on the website now. YouTube has a process where they take the video and they will automatically spit out closed captioning. It doesn't happen immediately. Their formula is for every hour of video that you send them, that gives them 5 to 10 hours to actually convert it. So it's, you know, 2-hour meeting here, sometimes I'm here 4.5 hours for planning board. It may take a day or two for the closed captioning to show up, but it works fairly well. And we met a couple times, and then Greg and I got together with Debbie, and we want to show you what's now live on the new on our website. So dead center, as you can see, it's important to note, and for the residents to know too, this is a rebroadcast. This is not live on YouTube. I didn't think we wanted to get into that, which would be another avenue for me to try to stream live between the website. So as, you know, Greg put all the information there for everybody. It's you know, dead center. You would click. So what I ended up doing is I've been doing this for the last month. So we actually had some content, and it's not raw tonight. So if Greg want to open up the YouTube channel, it'll direct you out of the town website to the YouTube channel, which was very important, as Debbie had mentioned to us, because it keeps the website flowing quicker and it won't slow it down. So it takes you here, and as you can see, I started with the town board meeting from February 2nd, and I've been just loading them on through. There you can see. And I'm pretty sure we have this muted, so there you go. You got your closed captioning. Watching it with the sound, I purposely have this muted so you guys can see, you know, what it is. I counted between a second and a half, which to me is exceptional. If you were listening to it and reading the captions, that's a very tight ratio for closed captioning, as far as I'm concerned. So it runs through that. The other nice thing about when you use YouTube is, you can see where Greg is, next to the CC button, it's strictly activated by whoever would like to use it. It's not there all the time. If you need CCs, you can click it. If you want it in a different language, YouTube now offers that. As Greg's scrolling through, we didn't count, I'm guessing there's 100 languages that you can actually translate and get your closed captioning in other languages.
Is there Ukrainian? Just
take a look.
See, for the sake of the topic of the day.
Da.
Okay, very good. Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
As if on cue, right, Brian? So this, you can see the quality of the video is also fairly decent. The one thing I wanted to mention, Greg noticed yesterday when we were putting this all together, when I put videos on TV, it's in what's called 720. We can't do high definition. That's the other thing with Optimum. They don't do high definition video. So I have the highest quality standard definition that we can put on TV, which is what I'm putting here. When Greg clicked on it yesterday, we noticed all the videos are coming out as 480, a little lower. And I did some research, and apparently YouTube has throttled back their entire video system because of the pandemic, because everybody was using YouTube and they didn't have enough bandwidth. So in time, as things get better with the pandemic and things get sort of back to normal, the quality of video will get even better. But to me, this is, you know, it's quality. The audio is on the money. You know, you don't have any of that extra hissing that you would get.
Excellent.
And the other thing that I've noticed, I mentioned Hyde Park because I had started to use YouTube when I work in the meetings up at Hyde Park. I started there in 2015. They have meetings going back to 2013 that are still on their YouTube channel. So it holds a hell of a lot of material. Depending on the municipality, the attorneys that I've talked to, there's kind of all different feelings of how long you should actually hold the video that people can do it without having to make a FOIL request. The consensus is hold at least a year. Currently, we have plenty, 3, 4, 5 years, so we're fine in Fishkill. With this, you're going to be able to hold 6 or 7 years. And what happens after that, like with the TV stuff, is it gets backed up onto a hard drive. So 4 years from now, somebody comes up with a request, you can still get that file, put it on a thumb drive when they fill out their paperwork, and you're good to go. Okay. So we're covered for that aspect of it, too.
Thanks, Pete.
Oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome. I think that's all we have.
Pete,
right?
can you talk about the transcript, so maybe get...
Oh, okay.
Show us that.
The other benefit to this is, you want to do the straight up one first?
Are you logged into the YouTube account?
Oh, no, I didn't. That's
Then
just,
all we can do is show the stage.
oh, okay.
But it is a useful tool, all the same.
So if you, like somebody actually mentioned to me, she was here at a meeting and she wanted to pick up something that she missed, I believe you said to me when, the nice thing about it is if you know approximately with the agenda what time of the meeting that was at, where Greg is scrolling, you can click on the hour and 10-minute mark and the cursor will take you to that part of the meeting. So there's a running transcript on the side, which is pretty accurate. I mean, they spell Glenham, Glenum, but I mean, it's, you know, it's pretty close. But it allows you to pinpoint and find that spot in the video wherever you need. So if you needed a certain discussion, you can go to it. For our staff here, especially for Becky and for planning and zoning, there's another option where they can go in and actually pull the transcripts right from YouTube and copy and paste and do what they need to. So it's going to serve a lot of purposes.
Good job.
And so far, from what I've seen, this is a YouTube channel that won't have pop-up ads. So,
What happens when people are talking over each other and making points? How accurate?
it's,
You lose accuracy there.
you do, yeah. From
Yeah.
what I've seen, sometimes you'll get the word up inaudible. If it's too loud and they can't even make it out, it'll say inaudible. Or it might be just, you know, whoever's loudest, it may pick it up. But that's a tough one. That's a, you know.
So John wins every time.
John,
Whoever talks the loudest.
That can beat John. You got any questions, John?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What is the cost to the town? Do we know that yet?
I did. I was trying to figure it out because the planning board tends to be longer. So ballpark, I'm probably looking at $25 a meeting.
It's nothing.
You guys good with this?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's, I already have the copy that I'm putting on TV. So for me, it's just sending it to this new entity, and then YouTube does the rest. But it's just, setting it, sending it, and a minor edit. The other nice thing is you can see, we've got the comprehensive plan meeting. So when that gets sent to me from Zoom, I process that and we were putting it on. Now we can pop that onto YouTube as well. The way this runs is the newest date will go to the left and everything shifts down. So what we discussed yesterday between me and Greg and Carmine and Debbie is once we've got a nice flow of videos in here, underneath where you saw that home screen, you can now break it up to town board, planning, zoning, special events, and you can have your categories. So, somebody can skim through and look at whatever they want.
If you look at the comprehensive plan, the closed caption option is not available yet because it's too new. So,
Yeah, that was about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon I posted that. So you've got what do you got there, Greg, 2 hours?
Yeah, it's just over 2 hours.
Just over 2 hours
By tomorrow.
by tomorrow. It's it's kind of a mystery. I mean, there's, last week's meeting when I left here, you guys were around 2 hours, and it only took a day for the closed captioning to show up.
but look how clear it is. It's awesome. That's actually,
Very good. Can we go back and add stuff to that like that?
As far as
Like events?
stuff that's already happened,
Yep.
I would say sure, but I think what we should do is if we wanted to do that, we could put, Greg and I were talking about this yesterday, maybe another level on the bottom called archive videos.
Okay.
And then you could show, when we did the 9/11
That's
or
what I'm
the
talking about.
Memorial Day.
Yeah, I'd like to
or
go
2 years
backwards
ago
and
when
get
we
there.
were at the cemetery.
Yes.
Because I still have all that in my backup.
You guys okay that he archives that?
So,
So you go ahead and archive though?
yeah, I think we'll make a column, Greg, that says archived. And then that can all be there for the residents to see in perpetuity.
Excellent.
It doesn't matter.
Excellent. Louise, any questions?
No, I think it's great, because a lot of people at home, they have it up to 40, and they can't hear us, so.
But I will say,
Yeah,
Optimum and Verizon are consistent.
consistently
The
bad.
people, yes. The people that I know who watch Verizon tell me, my TV's up to 40 or 50. So it's the same problem for
Yeah.
both vendors,
Okay.
so.
Thanks, Pete, thanks for your
No
work.
problem.
All right, our next,
That's very good.
all right.
Good job.
Our next presentation will be Little League.
Good evening, Supervisor Albro, fellow council members. My name is Peter Lyons, and I'm the president of Fishkill Little League. I'm here with a few of my fellow board members tonight to say thank you to the town council for your support of our partnership with the town. Fishkill Little League has been an anchor in our community for over 65 years. As a nonprofit organization, Fishkill Little League is operated entirely by volunteers. The league has provided tens of thousands of children the opportunity to develop the qualities of citizenship, discipline, and teamwork through Little League baseball and softball. By adopting the Little League virtues of character, courage, and loyalty, our programs are designed to develop great citizens, not just great ball players. Thanks to this town's council, especially Supervisor Albra, Councilmember Istvan, who serves as our Parks Liaison, and Councilmember Daniele, our partnership has never been stronger. In closing, the league would like to extend an invitation to each of the council members to be our special guests on opening day. Ceremonies will be on Saturday, April 23rd. Thank you for your support.
That's it? Nothing else?
What time?
9 a.m.
Okay.
Peter, if I can just, one of the main reasons why the Little League is here is there's certain things that they pay for that I believe that the town should maybe take up the cost. And Peter, if you can maybe touch on a couple of those things that we discussed.
So start with the contract expires, it's already expired, right?
So we have a 3-year agreement with the town.
Okay, start from there.
That is expiring at the end of March. So we went through a renewal process. We met with a number of the council members to go through that renewal. And through that renewal, there were a number of items specifically that were common that we would share with the town. Some of that was dirt and field materials that were required for the parks in general, not just for when Little League would use them, but for other entities that might rent the fields from the town. Typically, that was something that the league would pay for. There were other items such as bathrooms, the use of porta potties right in the at the fields in the town parks. That was a burden that was on Little League to pay for, and that's something that through the partnership with the town now, the town has agreed to take that over.
Very good. Any questions, board members? Louise?
I think we're going to be looking into the fence too, so hopefully we can get that
Yeah.
on the list of things we do.
So yes, also through partnership with the town, we'll be putting up a permanent fence, a 225-foot permanent fence on Sealed Fee at Shepherd Park, Field C, sorry, at Shepherd Park. That is an important step that is needed to bring in additional activity there at the park, some outside tournaments, some outside field rentals for the town, as well as additional tournaments for Little League that we can participate in. Without a fence, it's very hard to host some of the tournament games there.
Are we going to do anything for the T-ball guys and girls?
So outside of that same field beyond the fence, the town has agreed to help us erect 4 permanent T-ball fields out in the outfield grass of Shepherd Park beyond Seafield, just past the concession stand. With that, we'll be putting in 8 permanent benches, 2 on each field, that the T-ball teams, they'll be color-coded as well to match their uniforms, so it'll be easy for the 4- and 5-year-old T-ball players to know which side of the field they should sit down on when they're up to bat.
Very good. John, any questions?
No, as the former director of Little League in Beacon, I appreciate everything you're doing, and I'm here to help.
We appreciate the support.
Ozzy? I think, are we looking into the future about the lights? So hopefully in the future we'll have a plan set up for what we're going to do with the lights.
We do have an active process in place right now where we are pursuing lights on 2 of the fields, both B and C at Shepherd Park. That is something we are coordinating with the town on as well.
Sounds good. Thank you to Peter and to Fred and to all the volunteer parents who work in this league. I know my son's been in it for years, and I appreciate all the hard work that you do.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm playing Fishkill Little League myself, Brinkerhoff of Newinville, shout out. So just, Peter, if you can prepare that contract with a couple of things we discussed so we can present it to the board for next meeting, we
Will do.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Brian, you got anything?
Yeah.
How many, I'm just curious, how many kids, how many teams?
So the number ranges from year to year, but our goal is to have about 100 T-ball players.
Wow.
Just 4 and 5-year-olds every year. We're well on our way to meeting that goal this year. In addition, we have another 250 or so players ages 6 through 12 that play both in baseball and softball.
That's awesome.
Yep.
If you have any flyers, we can put it on our social media and send it out to the...
We do have some
official?
flyers that will provide to you electronically that perhaps can be hung at the rec center and
Absolutely.
any other place that you deem appropriate.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right. We appreciate your support. Thank you again.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. All right, shout out for Little League. All right, we got an agenda item about the Fishkill Rural Cemetery. I have the lady here. I'd like to have her talk right now. Is it okay with you guys?
Yeah, that's fine. Wait,
Ma'am?
which number is that? Which
5
discussion?
resolution.
Discussion 5.
Discussion 5, but she's going to
Now,
speak during
number 1.
presentation. Hello.
Hi, good evening, Supervisor, member of the board. My
Can
name
you
is
just pull the microphone down a little bit? Thank you.
Hazard of being short.
There you go. Now we can hear you.
My name is Brooke Youngworth. I'm an attorney at Mackey Butts & Wise, and I represent Fishkill Rural Cemetery. On behalf of its Board of Trustees, I am here to ask for your support of the cemetery. I've prepared written remarks, which I think that you have in front of you. Instead of going through all of them, I will just give you a small summary. The trustees have embarked on an ambitious plan to enhance all the cemetery's grounds in order to improve the historic beauty of the property. They have employed Hudson Valley IQ Landscape Architects PC, which led the beautification of the Marist College campus. They have developed a landscape master plan for the cemetery, which would include a 750-foot stone wall, over 200 trees, 6,500 plants, and a quiet sitting area for family and friends to reflect and connect with nature while simultaneously eliminating significant amounts of carbon dioxide in the air. However, the success of this project depends on community contributions as well as the assistance of the town. There are a number of grants that the town could apply for on behalf of the cemetery to assist it in financing the project. I have included a list of the applicable grants in your packet. We are proposing that we have our grant writer prepare the applications for you. We would fund any fees and legal fees as well as application fees and assist you with any legal work that needed to be done for this project. We are hoping that you recognize the importance of the project and that you join us in preparing these grant applications. I've prepared a resolution for you to review where you would agree that you would be our partner in applying for these grants. I'm here for any questions that you have. I hope that you read over the written remarks that were prepared as well. And any questions that you have, I'm here to answer.
And you have to do this through the town to get these grants. That's why she's before us.
Yes.
The sponsor. Everybody okay with this? Sure. We're good.
All right. Thank you
Pass that
very much.
tonight. Okay, thank you. Next up is discussions. Next up is the discussion of the Recreation Center roof leak, ongoing problem. We got it down to whether we're going to do a asphalt roof that matches the town hall police station or spend more money and do a steel roof. Me and Carmen have been talking about this. Would you give us an update on what we should do there?
It's a work in progress. We've had problems with the roof since day one. So we noticed that the building is constructed, it was like an engineer building that was modified. So when they did the building, when they did the roof, there was really no underlayment underneath the steel. So what I'd like to see if we do this, and let's look at and make sure, I think you guys exhaust a lot of stuff, spend a lot of money trying to fix it already. So we have two options. And I think no matter what we do, we need to do the underlayment to make sure that we do this properly, because we can't do this and do it wrong. So we have two options: either continue with the steel, which is quite a bit of money, which I looked at the numbers today, approximately about $675,000 for steel. The asphalt would be cheaper. The number, again, I'm going to give you a guesstimate, probably between $350,000 and $400,000. So With the asphalt, yes, it will try to match it to the town hall to make it look aesthetically pleasing. You get a 45-year architectural shingle that would last 45 years. So I don't know how old the rec center is. Anybody know how the age right now on it?
2008, something like that.
So we really haven't got too many years on that metal roof. But in any case, we would like to look at it, and if we do it, I think we need to do it properly, put it out for an RFP, and make sure we get the proper bids, and, you know, we look for the high qualified person to do this.
Excellent. So basically, the choice is going to be between the asphalt and the steel. I like to do the asphalt.
Yeah.
What do you guys like?
I think asphalt.
Asphalt, Louise?
Well, considering when I was playing bingo there the other day, it sounded like thunder with all of the ice sliding down the
Right.
steel roof, which it was a hazard, like it was literally outside the side door. So I'm tired of sinking money into it, so I think finding a different option is a good idea, and we need to get it done because it's a safety issue too.
Good.
If I may, on town board, I think we should reach out to the original manufacturer just to make sure that for snow loads that we can do the asphalt, which I don't think there should be a problem. We're in the Northeast. Hopefully they built these roofs properly, that they handle the extra weight of the shingles. But I think that we maybe should reach out to the manufacturer just to confirm, you know, from their engineers that it wouldn't be a problem converting from the metal to the asphalt roof. So, and if we do put out the bid, what I'd like to see, if it's okay with you, is actually have two options to see what the numbers come in at. You'd be surprised.
Okay. So Greg, have tomorrow either Paul or Joe talk to CPL and see if they got the, it can hold the weight of the asphalt. Because I don't know if this company's still in existence. I don't know,
Are
so,
we getting a credit?
yeah.
No, I want a credit from CPL. And,
Okay.
yeah.
What's our timing on this?
Well, if we put it out for RFP, we'll get that, and then in the meantime, I think we're gonna do pretty good with our sales tax revenue. So we're gonna be in very healthy shape. So we might be able,
We're trying to get this done this year.
I wanna get it done
As soon
this
as
year.
possible.
Yeah, yep. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah, like I said, we spent a lot of money on it, so I don't know. Can we get some money back or credit from the people who
Yeah.
have
Well,
repeatedly
we got
done the
two-
same thing and made it even worse?
Well, every time you step on that thing,
Why would-
Carmine, explain what.
We've talked about it
what the,
before. I can't believe we actually paid someone to make it worse, but I wouldn't want the same people involved in the project. I hope
Understand.
they're different people.
Understand.
There's issues there, so I think if we do it properly and do the 3 layers, and if we do have to step on the roof, it wouldn't bother the roof and wouldn't cause the seams to separate.
That's what's happening.
New holes.
Okay. All right, so.
Thank you, Carmine.
Thank you, Carmine. All right.
Are we tabling it for further discussion?
You guys are okay with getting estimates?
Yes.
And doing RFP?
Yes.
So, Mr. Gavin, do I have to do another discussion on that, or can I close this one out?
You should have another discussion on it to decide which way you're going to go with this. Are you going to have Clark Patterson Lee put together specs for the roof and then bid them out? Are you going to put this out for an RFP and have somebody submit specs and proposals to you? I mean, which way are you going with this?
We already have, as I looked today, we do have specs already, so actually, it's pretty, we have the square footage, we have the type of material we want to use, so it's already prepared, it's ready to go to RFP.
No.
No?
It's ready to go out for public bid. If you have your specs done, RFP would be, they're telling you what it is they're proposing as far as the building goes. If you have your building plans all set, you're gonna put it out for public bid. At your next meeting, we'll have a resolution putting out, when you have the specs in front of you for public bid, we'll prepare a notice for public bid, we'll set it out, you get your bids in, you'll open them, so forth.
So you need the specs too?
Well, you're going to approve them, I would think you'd want them in front of you, or at least a
Greg,
memo saying what
I
they
need
are.
the specs?
Working on it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gallo. Next up will be discussion of proposed local law amending 143 of the town code.
When do you want to?
Give me
April 6th?
second meeting in April. Discussion of proposed local law amending Chapter 143 of the Town Code. The Town Board will discuss a proposed local law to amend Schedule A entitled Stop Intersections for Town Code 143-16 entitled Designation of Stop Intersection of Article 6 entitled Stop and Yield Intersections in the Town Chapter.
This is two.
I'm on the wrong one? Number 2? Okay. 143?
Yeah.
Which one? I am on 143.
Chapter 143 is stop signs?
Yeah, discussion is number 2, right?
Yes.
That's what I'm on. The town board will discuss proposed local law to amend the stop signs intersection of the town code at the intersections of Arcadian, Shirley, and Knoll Court and Arcadian Place. We got that request from the highway superintendent. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
So 2 and 3 are the same.
Yeah.
so if I close 2, 3 would be the approval to set the resolution, which we already have. So if I close 2, we have 3 to move to resolution.
So that would be number 1 for resolution. So you can close 2 and 3, and we're going to vote on it today.
No, she just said it differently.
Okay, how do you want to do it?
No, closing 2.
Okay.
3 will be moved to resolution,
3 is to resolution, okay.
because we have to have a public hearing. You're setting the resolution to set the public hearing.
Correct. All right, so we want to set the public hearing now, or wait till we get the resolutions?
I think you guys have actually already said it, so it's just when you get to resolutions, you can talk about it.
Perfect. Next up is the keeping of chickens. 3, 4. The town board has received a petition from residents asking the town to reconsider aspects of the town code pertaining to chickens and other fowl. The town board will discuss this petition and the portion of the town code pertaining to chickens, as well as any previous requests related to this matter. Basically, the requests are to grandfather chicken enclosures, which predate the local law provided the enclosure is safe, adequate, and not in disrepair. 2, no limit to the number of chickens, provided there is an adequate shelter, the chickens are healthy, and other subsections of the law are not being violated. Number 3, removal of subsection 11, keeping roosters, ducks, geese, swan, turkeys, and another bird or fowl, therefore allowing these, provided no other subsections of the local law are being violated. And 4, violations and any all complaints must be in written, accompanied by the accuser's full name, first and last. If the complaint is unfounded, the accuser is billed a fee. This is to discourage false and repetitive unfounded complaints. So we got about 200 signatures here, and it's before us for discussion. I don't know if we can do number 4. We might be able to add a few chickens or some other stuff, so it's up for discussion now. So any thoughts, Louise?
I think that a few years ago, the town did a really good job amending this law, and for myself, I reviewed it before the meeting, and I think it's well-written, and I don't think it should be changed at all.
Okay, Carmine?
So just a little history. Around August or September, I signed this petition. Not understanding the full length of the law, and understanding our town code. Being an elected official, you got to make sure that you follow what your town rules are. And it was an education process for me. As I look at it, I think we do need to have rules. The rules need to be fair to the town, the neighbors, and the residents. So, only thing I would make exception on is how many chickens, but not many more. Beside that, that's where I stand. I think we need to make sure that animals are kept safe, humane, that we're not spreading any disease. I know over in Orange County, they've had disease spread from flocks of birds. So we need to be careful of that. It was a great educational thing for me. I had a chance to research a lot of things, and a lot of residents helped me out with it, and I thank them. So, Mr. Supervisor and Town Board, I think we need to definitely have restrictions, and we need to follow a rule. And everybody needs to have a permit.
So what do you want to just do with this? Raise the number of chickens? What was the thing that you would like to do?
Let's see what everybody else would like. I'm just curious.
John?
I think we have a town ordinance here, and I'm okay with the way it's written currently.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the gentleman after the election and went out and signed this as well. I have an appreciation for the legacy he has on this land and his property. Of course, looking at and understanding the code more now, it sheds a different light. I was able to review a number of things in his yard, and he has quite an operation, there's no doubt about that. And I just have to agree that we have to probably stick with a code that's been well thought out and worked through. And I don't know how many more chickens one should be allowed. I have no clue I don't raise chickens, I don't do this, so I just know that people have put a lot of work into it, and I have to go with their guidance on this.
You want me to table it? What do you guys want me to do? Table it or close it?
Mr. Supervisor, what's your thoughts on this?
I have no problem adding a few chickens to the law.
How many?
I don't know, maybe
What's the
4
count
more.
now that you have? Where's the?
6.
6.
6 if you have under 5 acres.
Right.
5 acres, yeah.
And you have to, and there's a whole bunch of other rules that go along with it, like,
I know.
Brian, it's like 14 square feet of space per chicken. The enclosures have to be a certain size, so if you're all considering adding chickens, you have to also consider making the space of the enclosure larger as well.
Yeah.
I'm good with 6.
I've read all
6 is
that.
good.
It's quite a lot of regulations for your chickens, but I guess there's health codes involved here, and neighbors and disturbances and things like that.
Ann? Ms. LaGoy?
I don't want to step out of turn, but this, I do not.
We'll give you
Come
permission.
up to the podium.
Is Mr. Horn here?
Yes, I'm right there.
How you doing? I hope that you find my comments reasonable as much as the town board might find them reasonable. Thank you, board members, first Louise, Ozzie, Carmine, and John, for coming to the village board meeting. I wanted to thank you, and thank you for reading the letters, and for being there. Off topic, notice of the zoning code, if it's more transparency, good. But why I am primarily here is to make a comment on discussion topic of keeping backyard chickens. First, I want to commend the town for having such a thorough application for those who are considering bringing hens into their care, and for having comprehensive care requirements. Beings that are considered consumption animals are afforded very little protections against cruelty and neglect, so I appreciate the information included in the code. I made quite a few calls this week to gain perspective on what concerns there may or may not be in the petition before you, and I recommend you do the same. Because we don't know, right? As Brian said, like, I don't know what raising chickens is. On its surface, resident Horn's request to be grandfathered in may seem like a fairly black and white issue, but I encourage the board to consider a few things prior to making any decision in response. Considerations such as appropriate space, food, water, and shelter for hens are well addressed in the town code and should be the ultimate goal. Requirements for how the area must be kept clean and odor-free, which would impact neighbors, and the potential for wildlife, rats, raccoons, skunks, possums, etc., are also addressed. Dutchess County has a rich agricultural community, and people are showing an increased interest in controlling where their food comes from. There has been a dramatic increase in backyard flocks. Mr. Horn mentions his tradition of raising a variety of birds for decades, which indicates he's been in violation of one-year deadline of the enactment of said code. So don't mention that, okay?
I'll explain that one.
Okay. Is he a hobbyist? Is he raising them for food? Is he giving them away? Is he selling them? How many birds are on the property? Are they given veterinary care? Avian flu is spread through wild birds and is now confirmed to be in Ulster County. What kind of precautionary sanitation measures are being taken to ensure diseases such as the avian flu are not killing his flock or indirectly posing a threat to public safety? It sounds like Mr. Horn has extensive experience in caring for birds. I've never been to his property. I don't know him. He may have a wonderful, safe, and well-cared-for flock. To his point, if there is adequate care being provided, a limit to the number of birds allowed may be fairly arbitrary. I have had the horrific experience of managing several hoarding cases with cats, and I have assisted colleagues in managing farm animal hoarding cases. While the guidelines set forth by the town may be intended to prevent egregious conduct against animals and the pain of community members who witness that conduct, they do not necessarily do so, and it may actually discourage able individuals from helping care for more animals. I am not in any way suggesting we lessen those guidelines, but simply requiring Mr. Horn to rehome the birds in his care may not be an immediately realistic requirement. It is a fact that numerous shelters and rescues in the region are consistently overwhelmed. That includes avian rescues. Asking them to take cared for birds, if that is the case, is not fair to them nor to the birds who have their own personalities and needs. Requiring Mr. Horn to do so may indirectly lead to the death of said birds, particularly roosters. This does not necessarily mean he should be allowed to continue on breeding birds of various kinds or have unlimited numbers. Instead, a close look can be given to ensure the birds he does have are well cared for and able to live out their lives in place. Everyone has a different interpretation of what well cared for means. So this is a fairly subjective situation. Sadly, in my rescue work, I've witnessed something that stays with me years later. I was assisting a property owner to conduct a trap-neuter return project on his beautifully maintained gentleman's farm. I was getting a tour and spotted a hen, nearly bald, with a visibly impacted egg. When I asked if she would receive care, the owner was not troubled in the least by the hen's condition, and care would not be sought. Money was not a concern for this individual, but the lack of value he placed on this hen that was suffering a condition that would kill her saddens me to this day. The question of who will monitor the flocks in Fishkill according to the code lands on the building inspector and the animal control officer. The contract recently entered into with the new animal control officer, to my knowledge, did not seem to include this aspect. In the immediate term, I'm sure Mr. Horn would like an answer, but in the longer term, the town may consider a broader look at care for animals in the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Mr. Horn?
Now, what's not being said up here is, my bird's there since '93. '97, I put a petition together, and it was voted on to keep the birds there by that town board. That town board did not file the proper paperwork in Albany. So now, all these decades later, I have to get rid of what I fought for years ago. It's not my fault that the town board was too busy stealing money instead of filing the proper paperwork. I did my due diligence. When it comes to the 5 acres, all my neighbors rallied around me. Back then, you did not have to own the 5 acres. They had to have access to 5 acres. $1 a year, not a problem. None of my neighbors have a problem.
So you're saying in 1997 there was a town board resolution or a law that allowed you to do this?
Yes, and they did not file it, and you got the paperwork, you got the petition, and you looked at it. So I don't even want to hear that nobody knows about that petition.
Well, we looked into the, your home paperwork.
You looked at it right in front of me, and it was in there.
There was no letter from the previous board saying that you could do it. Is that correct?
Half of the file's missing. Where's the rest of the file? I should not be punished because the board then did not do their due diligence.
Do you know what month it was? Because we can look through the records.
Nope.
Can you narrow it down?
You're talking a long time ago.
I think we should also be speaking to our code enforcement officer, because I think he may have a different account of what this gentleman is saying.
Well, if he's saying that they passed a town board resolution to allow him an exemption, I need to find that out.
The town has pictures of all my lofts, the many of birds, and everything else. Back in '97, I was the first person
Greg,
to
I'll see you
register
tomorrow.
in this town.
That'll be the first thing we do tomorrow, look at the 1997 agendas. and
Yeah,
see if we
and
can
it
find
needs to be resolved properly, because like I said, if the town didn't want these birds here, they should have put their foot down then. Not almost 30 years later. That's ridiculous.
When was our new chicken law went in effect? 2013, if anybody?
Yes, and I brought it to their attention of that thing, and nobody wanted to listen to me then. Okay? I spoke to Joel, I spoke to Bob, nobody wanted to acknowledge that that petition was there.
Mr. Horn, are you the owner of the property now?
Yes.
Okay. In 1997, were you the owner of the property?
No, it was my mother's.
Okay.
Okay? It was known, it was well known that they were there.
There'll be minutes of the meetings.
Okay.
We're gonna look through the whole year of 1997.
Like I said, I should
Maybe they
not
look
have-
underneath your mother's, maybe they look under Mr.
No, they go by address, they go by address.
Go by address. You know, like I said, it's not a surprise, they didn't pop up yesterday, they're well-known, and it's not just me. There's plenty of people up and down that have chickens and ducks and
Oh, I know.
turkeys throughout Beacon Hills and throughout this town. And they were all told they can have them because of that was supposed to have been changed. Nobody knew it wasn't changed until Bob brought this before the board, and we tried to tell them, but there was a petition, it was supposed to have been changed. Nobody wanted to hear us then. Now somebody's got to hear us. We spoke out then and we got shot down and blown off. The petition was done. We did our due diligence to have them.
Okay, we're gonna look through 1997, and we're
Okay?
gonna go through all
You
the
do what
minutes.
you got to do. Like I said, I know you got a copy. You looked at it right in front of me of the petition and everything. Petition was not put together just to say, okay, we're just going to push it to the side and forget about it. I was told it was voted on, it was done, everything was going to Albany. It ain't my fault they didn't send it to Albany.
Okay.
You can't, none of you can look me in the face and say it's my fault that they didn't do their due diligence.
Well, if there's something in a resolution saying that was done, then we'll bring this back up.
Well, either which way, that petition's there, and it was known it was there. It ain't like I'm making it up and saying, oh, it was there. You have a copy of it. Nobody's gonna put the time, the effort in the fight and walk away from it. You know that, and everybody here knows that.
When was this petition done? Because there is no date on it.
90, what, the one
This
today?
Yes.
That's
There's no
started,
date on it, on any of the pages.
that was started in September.
Well, it would be helpful if there was a date, so we actually knew when the
Well,
people
at the
signed it.
time of doing that, I'm sorry, I lost my mother and father within 4 days. That was the least of my worries, putting a date on it.
Well, I'm sorry for the loss of your parents, but in the future, if we're doing petitions, it's helpful for the board and anybody else to know exactly when these people have signed this, because I don't know, was it in 1997, was it 2018, was it yesterday? And I think we do need to.
Well, the board members here that
Yeah,
signed
hold on
it
one second,
can
sir. One
verify
second,
when
one
it
second,
was
sir.
done.
Yeah, I don't know anybody else who signed this except for the two board members. I think we need to speak to Joel. I spoke to Joel, so I have a better understanding of what he's saying, and there's a different account to it. So if anybody
Well,
else wants to.
if you're saying a board member, if the board voted to let him do what he did in
No.
1997,
No,
That
that
did
is
not
not what he
happen.
told me. He told me
That's not what he told you?
that he believed that he had permission from a prior board, but I believe that Joel has a folder, and in that folder, it says the opposite of that, so.
No,
we
it's
can-
all
we can
missing out of the
Speak to Joel and figure that out.
but
and
we
then-
can look through resolutions from 1997 and either confirm or deny that, and we will do that.
Okay?
You guys have any questions?
No, I mean, I'm sympathetic, I understand, I'm just, I'm digesting this rule here, it's amazing, the detail of it, so hopefully we can find a balance here.
Well, like I said, and even back then, we asked about being grandfathered in. Like I said, my birds are known to be there. To have put forth a new law and not say, well, these people were there, we're gonna grandfather them to an extent, that's wrong.
Sir, how many chickens do you have?
15.
How many other birds do you have?
6 turkeys, 6 ducks, and a pair of peacocks.
Any roosters?
Yes,
How many roosters?
2.
Any other animals or?
Pigeons.
Pigeons? Any
We
other?
don't have an ordinance against pigeons in this town.
Not yet. Llamas, anything else?
No.
Okay.
All right. Becky, close it. I'm going to look through your, the 1997 stuff, and if we find anything, we'll come in and we'll talk what's there.
Okay?
Okay, you sure it's 1997, not 96, not 98? I need to know the year, seriously.
You looked at the petition, the years on that petition. Look at the
Okay.
petition again.
All right, thank you.
No.
Close it.
No.
Close it.
Dozens and dozens of man hours for me to
It-
do this, but a year
I'm
would
sure
be
Joel
helpful.
probably has the information.
97.
Becky, 97.
He took the time to do the petition and come here, I'm going to give him the opportunity to look through the year. All right, we discussed the cemetery grant already. Any questions on that? You do? Okay, you're going like this?
So we're moving that one to resolution.
Yes, ma'am. Somebody, other phone? Somebody else? But you want to talk about the chickens?
No, I just, can I come up with?
Go on. See what you're saying?
Hi, Jody Lynn Burka. I just wanted to say, in relation to what Mike has said, in the late 1990s, I had a swimming pool put on my property. and I followed every single thing that they wanted me to do. And approximately 11 years later, I got a letter from the town saying that I did not comply, when in fact I did. And fortunately for me, I keep good records, and it ended up getting resolved.
Excellent.
But somebody didn't do their job back in the late 90s. And I'm not saying that person had anything to do with him, I'm just saying it happened to me. So maybe it happened to other people.
I'm sure it happens.
So maybe, and I would think that Mike, he has a good memory, he's probably correct in the 1997 category.
If it's 1997, we'll find it.
But anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Ms. Berger.
Thanks.
All right, next up is 6.
Water.
Number 6, we good? You want to speak?
Yeah.
Sure.
What do you want to say what it's about?
What do you want to talk
say?
about?
It's number 6, right?
Are
Discussion
you-
number 6?
Yeah, number 6, Louis, Councilwoman Daniela will take number 6.
Okay. That's a discussion for a resolution to provide one-time water service line replacement for certain homes. So this topic was brought up to me last fall by a resident and a friend of mine named Tim McKinney, who lives on Greenwood, which is in Beacon Hills, and that's where all of the project was done. It's at his request that we are considering this resolution, and I appreciate that we can assist him and his neighbors by putting this in writing in case of future potential issues. They didn't get their lines replaced in the project, but it's only fair that if they need to have them replaced in the future, they should not be personally responsible for the cost. So if anybody would like to thank Tim McKinney, he is the one that brought it to us, and I'd like to thank the supervisor and the rest of the board if we're going to follow through on this tonight. Thank you.
So what basically happened with this is the Beacon Hills project, we're winding this thing down. There were some pipes that were not replaced, so some homes didn't get the total benefit, so this would make it kind of even. That's the objective.
Do we have a list of?
Yes.
We do have a list.
Just how were those houses left out of the scope?
Because basically on Greenwood Drive, they did a long run years earlier, so they bypassed it, bypassed these homes. So they connected the new pipes to those old pipes, and very few number out of the total.
Yeah. Is there like a total number? Or
Yeah. What is, do you know the number, 30?
About 20.
20?
20 homes?
Yeah, not many.
Can we get a copy of the list?
Yeah, I guess so.
Not tonight.
He needs a copy of the list.
I'll make sure it's forwarded.
Yeah, you sure it's not in the resolutions?
It is.
It's an agenda.
John, if it was in the agenda packet, I printed it for you.
Okay.
Maybe for resolution?
No, Greg, there's nothing attached to,
All right, well, we've got it.
okay.
So Supervisor, if I understand this, and Louise, this is part of the bond that everybody's going to pay equally?
Correct.
Right, and it's being shared equally throughout all the houses?
Correct.
And to make it fair for those 20 people approximately, that if something breaks, that they'd have the same benefit in the future?
Yeah, I think it was the size of the pipe or something, I'm not sure. That they didn't get it replaced, either it was newer, the size of the pipe or something. But
Because
they are-
everybody,
They are newer, so they had newer pipes, so it wasn't replaced. But if, in the future, something happens to it, they should have the same opportunity everybody else did because they're paying for the opportunities of others.
And is it clear that we define what that is? So let's say if a resident 5 years from now says, I want my whole water line replaced, so.
No,
okay.
it's specific, yeah.
so basically when they change the water lines, you have the main line on the road, and then from the main road to the cock valve, and then to the house. So these people didn't get from the road to the cock valve.
No,
So
it's
that's the
not.
only thing that's included.
Gotcha. I'm for
Okay?
it.
Very fair.
Have to say they need it.
Because they pay for that benefit. Okay, we good? Move that to resolution? Okay, thank you, guys. Number 8.
Yeah, thank you.
Number 7. This is the Route 52, Route 82 property, ID 7624, property containing an abandoned construction project sits at the intersection of Route 52 and 82 in the town. The town board will discuss whether Chapter 50, Section 25 of the Town Code entitled Unsafe Property, Buildings and Structures empowers the town to take action to remediate this site, which is subject of a number of resident complaints. So, Mr. Gabo, what is your analysis?
The first step is to have the building inspector go out.
Greg, listen.
Review the site and prepare a report. The report comes to the town board. If the town board determines that it wishes to move forward with it, you set, just as you did with the dangerous building, a hearing on it, and you send notice to the owner, and they come in and you make a determination as to whether you're going to move forward with something to make the site safe or otherwise remediate it, whether it's fill in.
Closer to the mic, closer to the mic.
Whether it's fill in the foundation or fence it off or what have you, and then you charge it back to the property owner. So if the board's interested in moving forward, the first thing would be to send a direction to the building inspector to go out, inspect, and prepare a report.
So we can do it.
You can do it.
All right,
Yeah.
Louise, we can do it. So
All right.
everybody okay doing it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. I drive by the site every day. It's terrible. We have actually stakes sticking under the ground. It's actually a big safety issue. We have a fence, we have a trailer, we have a urinal. We have concrete all over the place. It's absolutely horrible. It's an eyesore.
Yeah.
All right, so let's, second meeting of April. We should have something from Joe by then. Then we can move on it.
Who's the owner, Mr. Supervisor?
I don't know the name.
Okay.
Next up, number 8, discussion of possible local law to establish notice of zoning code interpretations.
Can I just,
Number 8, number 8.
yeah, what?
Discussion of possible local law to establish notice of zoning code, ID number 7626. The town code of the town of Fishkill empowers the town zoning administrator to render the interpretation of the town zoning code contained in chapter 150 of the town code. Such interpretation may be requested by a potential applicant or by the town planning board or zoning board of appeals. While the town board code requires notice of application, acceptance, and public hearings by the planning board and notice of public hearings by the zoning board of appeals to all property owners within 500 feet of the subject property, town code does not currently require notice of zoning interpretation to those same property owners. The town board has received a request from a resident to adopt a local law to amend the provisions of the town code to include requirements to issue notice of zoning code interpretation to all owners within 500 feet of a subject property. The town board will discuss directing the town attorney to review the applicable section of the town code and prepare such proposed legislation. So what happens now is when there's an interpretation by the building inspector, he files it with the clerk, and you have a 60-day period to complain, but no one knew about that 60-day provision. Now, we want to, I'm going to propose a local law that we make such provision, mandatory to be mailed to those people other within the 500 feet.
Supervisor, we can just add, I think we're going to add that he also has to advise the supervisor, the town board,
Yeah.
the planning board chair, the zoning board chair, and then Carmen and I spoke with the planning board chair the other day, and he asked that we also add that it be posted on the town website and on the town hall bulletin board, just for
Excellent.
more exposure.
You got that, Mr. Gallo?
I have most of it. I'll check with Louise to make sure that I have all of it. This is what's called an adjoiner's notice, and you see these from time to time. You see these from time to time in various codes, and what it says is that when a application comes before a board that there's not going to be a public hearing on, usually you see it with lot line changes. The person who's applying for the approval has to send out written notice to, and it's usually just adjoining properties. You can make it 500 feet if that's what you want to do. But
Whatever the current number is, 500 feet,
I
right?
think it was-
Stick it with 500 feet.
And the notice has to go out before action is taken on it. It's usually 30 days. It can be less, it can be more, depending on what it is the board wants. So what you would do is you would add a provision to your code saying that when someone seeks an interpretation from the building inspector or the ZBA seeks an interpretation from the building inspector, and it pertains to either a particular property or properties, could be multiple ones, you understand, that notice has to be sent out to, whether it's adjoiners or 500 feet or whatever it is you want. And did you want the notice to go to all these people, or you want the determination to go to the supervisor?
Let's,
the ZBA chair?
the notice, and that's the other thing. The notice attached by maybe the supervisor or the board, what would be their recourse? I don't know that. Can they appeal it to the zoning board of appeals? I don't know. That's the second phase. We don't know. Like to say on the notice, this is the building inspector's notice, you have 60 days to bring this to the attention of who?
Well, they'd be getting back to the building inspector saying that they object or they think it should be interpreted one way or another way as far as that goes. Anybody who is a person who's a property owner, or in this case, it could be the town board if you were so inclined, has standing to challenge a building inspector's interpretation. That challenge goes to the ZBA. and they have to bring that within the 60-day period that you referenced.
Good.
But this law you're talking about wouldn't change that at all. People would still be able to appeal to the ZBA within the 62-day period. Of course, now they'd have a little advance notice that this is coming down the pike, and they might want to pay more attention.
So they have always had that time to go to the zoning board of
They
appeal,
have.
but no one knew that they could go.
The
Most
attorneys
likely.
knew.
They
but
weren't,
The attorneys do.
they
Probably
didn't
not-
have to do it, right? So is there two parts to what you're saying, Mr.
Yes.
Galva? So now, once somebody asks him to make a determination, then we're asking to be advised, and then when he makes the determination? So is it two parts, or which one do you
Well,
suggest?
I kind of thought that you just want to be told what the interpretation
Interpretation was, but then you
because
just said,
really-
like, maybe we could be advised if, I don't know, if you want to
No,
go
no, I
over
think
before or
Just,
not.
the building inspector says this, we get it, and it goes within the 500 people, and the notice it says, you can bring this to the attention of the zoning board. That's it.
So you
Zoning
don't
board,
want
planning
them
board.
to have input to the building inspector before he renders it, you just want them to
Why
say,
would-
he's rendered it, and then allow them to appeal, which is fine.
But the zoning board can interpret it too, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, I think he's actually giving the.
Yeah, but you
give-
don't want the citizens going to the building inspector right there on the spot, do you?
If they
Well,
want to
if they
appeal.
want to speak.
No, the appeal would be
yeah.
with the zoning board.
No, this is before. So it's kind of like what we did with the planning board, where we let the chairman say, this is the project before you, is anybody in the audience that wants to speak? So it kind of sounds like he would be saying, I have somebody that wants a determination, asking if there's input. If he doesn't, then he makes his determination, and then everybody's notified in case they didn't know that first part of it. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. I think probably it would be more effective if adjoiners got notice when the determination was made. I don't think they're going to be in a position to give a great deal of input before there's a, for example, somebody comes to the building inspector and says, does a laundry include a dry cleaner? We allow laundromats, does that include dry cleaners, okay? And if you have property near land which may have a laundromat on it, you might be interested in it, you might not be interested in it, but you don't know what he's gonna say when the interpretation is submitted. If you get a determination, because you're on a butter or within 500 feet of a laundromat, saying the building, please be advised, the building inspector has determined that the term laundromat is used in the code extends to dry cleaning. Now maybe you're interested or upset because maybe you don't want a dry cleaner there. You feel it should just be coin-operated laundromats. Now you know, particularly if there's notice in the letter, with the notice that you get saying you have 62 days to appeal, or 60 days, to appeal to the ZBA, maybe now you want to take your appeal. Whereas if it came in beforehand and you didn't know how he was going to come down on that issue, you put it aside, it gets lost in the mail, you forget about it, then later on the decision is made, and you're not getting notice of the decision at this point. You just had notice that somebody had applied for it. So you see, it's more I think anyway, it's more
Yeah,
effective.
I
if
thought you were actually adding two of them, but I.
No,
understand
I
what
think
you're
two
saying.
would be too
So
much.
just another question, are any of the boards able to object, or is it just a citizen that is able to object?
He said we could object.
The town board, not the planning board, has the ability to object to a determination made by the building inspector. You could appeal to the ZBA.
To the ZBA, okay. He can't hear you.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
He's hard
What
to-
I said was that
Yeah.
the town board has the ability to appeal a building inspector determination to the zoning board of appeals.
Is there a specific time frame?
60 days.
That appeal has to be made?
It's 60 days.
Now, what if
I really don't want to get into back and forth, so I'm sorry.
Let's prepare a local law for that the next meeting. Is that possible?
I think so. I can't promise, but let me try. If
Okay.
I can't, I'll let you know and we'll put it over.
Sounds good. And
Just, Mr. Gaba, just so you know, he was hard of hearing, so I don't know. Is there anything else that you didn't hear that you wanted us to repeat, if you didn't hear it?
You just don't want to go back and forth.
I know, I just wanted to, I mean, because we don't have that up yet, so if he.
I heard everything?
Okay.
I'm confused. If a determination was made and the 60-day appeal.
you can go up to the mic. Go to the mic.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Supervisor. Is it point of order if you want
That's
to?
okay, it's okay. It's okay.
Thanks.
Go on.
I'm sorry. Alberta, Old Glenham Road.
Yes, sir.
If someone comes in and makes a determination,
Only the building inspector can make the determination.
the building inspector, he makes a determination. Now, this determination that he just made affects the zones that these buildings are on.
500 feet around.
It's going to affect those two houses where they're going to make a parking lot. That's basically what it comes down to. Now, because the town failed to notify people,
That there was no notification process prior to doing this. This is why there was no law to do that. We're changing the law to make that happen.
okay. When I was growing up, if I did something, let's say wrong, not maliciously wrong, but wrong, there's no way to correct that? You gotta say, well, this is already done, even though it's wrong. This is already done, and we can't do a damn thing about it, and we're gonna go ahead with this thing? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying we're going to make the correction going forward, and we have addressed the concern about the road going in from the back, and that's not going to happen, and we're still talking about the density of the cars and the lights.
Okay,
So we are doing that.
all right.
It's hard to go backwards and doing stuff.
I just want to protect Old Glenham Road.
Oh, there'll be no,
I don't want to ride down Old Glenham Road for the first, let's say,
there'll be no cars coming out of Glenham Road from Healy. It won't happen.
Okay. When I ride on Glenham Road, will I see cars?
It's going to be very difficult to see them because of the landscaping.
Believe me, I know that piece of property very well. I just want to protect Old Glenham Road.
No, and we're not going to
And
allow.
I spoke with Dwight Healy,
Okay.
and he assured me that they wouldn't use Old Glenham Road.
And that's not going to happen.
What's
That's not going to happen.
I would hate to see that.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, we agree with you.
And, you know, there's a couple of driveways over there now. I would hate to see cars go out of his lot and come in his lot on Glenham Road, because that's where it would be convenient with all those cars there to be in the way.
It's just too narrow.
Yes, good.
It's too small and narrow road for that, so I would hate to see that.
Let me tell you what, we got machines that could make real wide roads.
Absolutely.
Mr. Burker, can you hear me? Right here. Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Good.
You did that on purpose.
All right.
I thought there was the order.
I just want to make sure you can hear me. I sound like John a little bit now. So,
A little louder.
thank you for your thoughts. We appreciate it. We could actually call this the Burger home rule on this one, because we listened to you and your daughter, and this what we're passing today as a board, or talking about today, is some of your concerns, so it doesn't happen in the future. So we learned from this. We all educated ourselves, and part of us being who we are, and I'm glad we're working together to get this done for the residents.
But
So.
you're working on it and going to make changes possibly, correct?
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And I had a good time meeting you at your house, walking around, and I got the
I
full,
didn't think there was this many people in the world, because people are calling me, stopping me.
you're probably the guy.
That's all.
You're likable anyway, so.
You don't know me.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you for your time. We hate to be a nuisance, but I've lived here 80 years.
All right.
Over.
We know.
And
Mr.
I've never had a complaint before.
We're doing it.
Take care of us.
Yep.
Mr. Gaba, when a resident, they get that letter, do they have, when's the 60 days start? When they receive the letter, or when that letter goes out?
When they have notice of the interpretation as far as that goes.
So
I would
if-
think it would be upon receipt, which would be, when they receive it.
So, but what if it's stalled going into the mail and people don't get it right away, COVID happens, they don't get their mail 30 days, because that's happened to me.
Because I think it would be on receipt, so it really wouldn't matter one way or the other as far as that
So we're
goes.
going to put return receipt on the
No,
letter?
no.
You don't
What do we do right
wanna
now for
that.
the, we don't do that, right?
Yeah, it's costs a ton of
Yeah,
money
we
to
don't do
send
that.
things return receipt.
don't
You
do
don't
that.
want
It's
it.
almost
When
like
someone
they
knows or should have known that the interpretation was issued is when the 60-day period goes
Gotcha.
on.
Yeah, you can call me. And remember, the board is allowed, if the board members, if they see something, will be allowed to challenge it.
Well, a return receipt wouldn't be a bad idea. We're not paying
No,
for it.
it's like the expense
We're
It's
not
like
paying for it.
$7 a letter. I don't know that you want to
Ozzy.
do that.
It's the developer that pays for it, right?
I'm sorry?
Doesn't whoever's presenting the project?
Has to
for the
pay for it,
notice
yeah.
Of the
Yeah,
500 feet?
developers.
You could have an interpretation without a project. I
With
mean,
our-
look,
with our,
if the town
law-
wants to do certified, we could certainly do certified.
When we do our regular mailings,
Yeah.
we don't do certified, right?
We do our what?
When we do our own 500 feet thing, we don't do a
I
certified.
do not believe so, no. Not unless it's by code, we don't do certified.
It's not,
I
right?
don't see Debbie do that.
You don't ever see Debbie do it, right?
I didn't say ever, because I'm sure there's certain situations where she has to, but when she mails out all those things.
It's just a regular mail letter?
Yeah, it's regular mail from
Okay.
Debbie.
I've
Yeah.
gotten a couple, just regular mail.
Okay. All right, Mr. Galvin, we're looking forward to your local law.
I'll work on it.
All right, next up is privilege of the
Wait, what are we
floor.
doing with
What are we
this?
doing with it?
Give us, what do you need?
Month?
We'll give it a month, and if he's early, I'll just move it up in the agenda.
That would work.
Thank you.
Okay. 4-6, and if he's earlier, we'll just bring it on. All right, next up is privilege of the floor for anything that's on the agenda. So anybody wants to speak anything on the agenda, feel free. Ms. Burka, you're up.
Hi, Jody Lynn Burka, Old Glenham Road. First, let me say, thank you very much for passing that, and
Has it passed?
yay,
Has it passed yet?
because that's going to help going forward. But I think what everybody's failing to realize is, a lot of the anger and opposition that's coming from the community is coming because of the way that it was done. The attorney keeps saying, we should have known, we should have seen this coming, but we had no way of knowing. Most of us work, and we get involved in our lives. Ozzy, you know, it was a fluke that I came in here and saw it up on the board. I would have never known. And my question would be directed then at Mr. Gaba. How come I got a note from Brownell saying they're going to be putting a house on a residential lot? But I never got a note, and so if I didn't come to any of these meetings, and many of my neighbors didn't, we're all now aware there's going to be a house put up. And if you're opposed to it, I believe it says something about the date of the letter, whatever the date is on the letter. Anyway, I don't have it with me to look at. But I think the way that the Healy project kind of got off the ground continues to astound people in the community. And like my father, I'm a rock star. Hi, everyone. The bottom line is, I never knew so many people knew who I was. I get emails, texts, people arriving at my house, all supporting me. This has to stop, and I hope Mr. Healy is listening. I hope that they consider, because I know that this is going to move forward. I'm not stupid, and I'm not trying to ruin Mr. Healy or his dealership. I'm really not. I just think he should consider cutting back the cars that are going into the residential area. That is going to affect our world. It's going to affect where we live in our community. If that density could be lightened, take a ride down 52 and look at the dealerships that are there. I guarantee you, there probably are not 445 cars sitting on any of those lots, yet they're proposing that on the residential parcel, not including the 250, 275 that are going to be on the front lot. So that's a lot of cars. So again, I just want everyone to understand, I think the anger is the way it was done. Nobody was notified, so we were robbed of our civil rights as taxpayers to know what was going on. That's what I'm saying.
And trust me, if I knew about this 2 years ago, I would have changed the law 2 years ago.
And I believe you.
And what's going to happen is next year something else will pop up like this, and we're going to have to do something else. It seems like there's always something that I learn every year. So hopefully this will take a big chunk out of that. But last year, we changed the law that the planning and zoning boards notified certain projects, and now we made the town board notify the same thing. So the commitment of open government is to be transparent, and that's what this administration is about. So anybody listening who wants to read the town code and has any ideas to make the town more open, I'm willing to listen to it.
Okay, so I have one other suggestion, because
Sure.
I don't just come with problems, I come with suggestions.
I'd love to hear it.
Let's say the town zoning administrator, whoever that person may be, even myself, let's say I get that job, and I make a determination. Why can't that determination go before either, number one, the town board, or number two, the zoning board, to approve what I said? And then everyone would be happy, and then a note goes out. Because it's easier for one person if I don't have any issues with you, and we're semi-friendly, and it sounds like a great idea, and I say, okay, yes, you can do that, without really thinking of the ramifications. But yet, when it goes before a board of 5 people, somebody on that board might say, wait, hold the phone. There's people that live there, this is not really going to be right, it has to be done a different way. If this is what you want to do, we're going to go for a variance, a special use permit, or a zoning change. Those 3 things, all which would have mandated them to let the public know. Why can't we put that into a law?
Well, we're going to be able to do that, so any board.
Oh, yay. Okay.
Any board member that sees that can just bring it to the zoning board, absolutely.
Okay,
That's
because
part of your-
that,
Mr. Galvin?
that's,
Well, no.
No, that's not
You
what
said,
it
you
is.
said a town board member could bring it to the zoning
Oh,
board.
yeah, you can do that. Well, if the board wants to appeal it, the board
So the
can.
board as a whole, not just one board member?
Yes, exactly.
So the board, if they see something, we can bring it to the zoning board.
I think
Okay,
she's
but the
asking-
general-
that's not- I'm sorry. Are you saying that you're asking that we make the determination, like, approve his determination before it goes out? Is that what you're saying?
that's kind of what I'm
Yeah.
saying, that somebody look at it and
Right.
say, does this make sense? Is this the way we should, as a town, be moving forward? Or should we have that individual, whoever it be, whether it's an individual, a company, anything,
I don't-
should that
We have the
person,
right to do that. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
no, that's okay.
I don't think we have the right to do that. I think that's part of his job, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Gaba, but that's his job, unfortunately.
So we would have to be notified and
Correct.
then bring it to you and say, I now have an
Well, you
issue.
could bring it
Go
to the
to the
zoning
ZBA.
board.
Correct.
You'd go to the ZBA.
Okay, we go to the zoning board, and they would have the ability to overturn it, or would it
Yes.
be just told to us, well, he made the determination?
Zoning Board of Appeals.
Zoning Board of
overturn it.
Appeals.
Okay.
The way it works under the town, if I may.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
way it works,
But not close to the
the
mic.
way it works under the town law is that the building inspector administers and in the first instance interprets the zoning code. If he feels he cannot make an interpretation of the zoning code because there's some ambiguity in it, he can refer it himself to the Zoning Board of Appeals, which will then interpret the zoning code. If the building inspector renders an or in fact makes any determination, issues a building permit, what have you, anyone who's aggrieved by it, if he, for example, denies a building permit, can appeal to the Zoning Board of Appeals, which has the authority to overturn the building inspector's determination. But it's not the case, nor could this board make it a law, that he issues a determination and it automatically goes to the zoning board for ratification. That's just not how the town law works.
Okay.
He makes the first determination, and if somebody appeals it, so be it. It goes to the zoning board, and they determine if it's correct or not.
Okay, so when someone interprets that parking 445 cars on a lot where it clearly states no parking of vehicles, that's a good interpretation.
That's a completely separate question than what I was just
Okay, but I'm
discussing.
just saying, that's exactly what happened. Because if you look at it in the zoning that it currently stands, that is exactly what happened. And again, I commend everybody for preventing this from happening going forward, because that's why the town people are upset. They are upset because this was done behind our backs. That's what happened. Whether somebody wants to admit it or not, that is exactly what happened. It clearly states you can't put cars there, yet they're allowed to put 445 cars. I hope that they decide to scale back a little bit and take the residents who are really protesting rather loudly, take that into consideration. Again, thank you, everybody. And I want to personally extend my thanks to Daniele, Carmine, everybody who helped me, Brian, Ozzy, you guys all have listened to me. I feel like I'm making progress. Clearly, this is happening. Everybody in the community, they are trying. So thank you. Let's hope this doesn't happen again.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else like to speak? Sir? Hold on, Bob. Sorry, Bob.
Can't wait till I'm 96.
96? Sir?
Back to that entrance and exit on Old Glen Road, possibly.
No, there's not going to be an entrance.
Will that be put in writing?
Yeah, you got to talk into the mic, too. There you go.
Will that be put in writing?
That's going to be on a site plan.
I'm sorry?
That's going to be on a site plan. It's going to be in writing, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
My other concern is like a truck stops on 52 and dumps cars off. If 52 is kind of congested or whatever, guess where he might go? Over to Glenham Road.
That's a town road, we probably can do something.
I hope not. I hope not. There's a lot of concerns here.
Okay.
And I hope you guys straighten them out so I can start sleeping at night.
You got it.
Thank you.
Greg, write down where they're going to drop the cars off and send it to the planning board. I want to know where they plan on discharging the cars. What road?
I want to,
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that, but you never know.
Mr. Supervisor, can I just ask, I'm sorry, I'm going to ask a question real quick.
Go on.
The notices that are sent out now, they're only by mail, correct? Okay. So we've had a discussion here on things being lost in the mail, not getting the notice, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just wondering why we can't, whatever we mail out simultaneously be placed on the website.
She mentioned that.
I said that earlier.
Did you say that? Did I miss that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yes, I
All
did.
right.
That was from, the planning board chair thought of that and told Carmine and I
Okay.
that. And he also asked us to post it on the bulletin board as well. If you can think of any other options, let us know, because the better, the more
Sorry, I
options
missed
there is. No, that's all right. The more options we have, the better it is.
Supervisor?
Yeah, members of the board, Madam Clerk, Council. I heard some uncertainty about the pipes up in Beacon Hills. I'd just like to share with you my recollection of what happened on Greenwood Drive.
Absolutely.
If it makes any difference to you. There were several things that were trying to be addressed in the Beacon Hills Water Project. One was pipes that were falling apart. There was galvanized pipes to the right of Old Town Road. It was a mix, galvanized, some ductile, but they were falling apart. There was a bunch of transite, mainly along Old Town and Greenwood, and that was pretty serviceable, but some sections were undersized, and part of the project was to try to get the sizing up, even though it wasn't going to provide fire flow immediately, but that once there was storage placed in that neighborhood, that you would have fire flow throughout. There was a section of Greenwood that had adequately sized serviceable pipe, and that was left alone. So that's why part of Greenwood Drive was left untouched. And if you do decide that you're going to make house connections, I urge you to think about that carefully in terms of making sure people are properly indemnified, because you're sending contractors on the town's behalf onto private property. So you want to make sure your ducks are in a row on that.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Just want to offer that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Broccoli?
Thank you. My name is Dominic Broccoli, owner of Continental Commons. I just wanted to discuss briefly the comprehensive plan. I understand that the town is undergoing a comprehensive plan, and I know Ms. LaGoy, who spoke here earlier, she seems to have a very important role in the comprehensive plan. Now, last week, she had discussed, my property came up for discussion, and she had mentioned things about my property being despicable and things like that, disgraceful.
Excuse me? It's
Yeah.
not, that is not an agenda item.
I
You
know,
can't
I
speak about
understand,
it.
but Ms. LaGoy got up and spoke about my property being disrespectful
She
and
didn't
things
say that
like
here
that.
today.
She said it last week?
Well, that's last week.
Okay.
You got something to talk about
Yeah,
the agenda?
I'm going to speak about that. So I had mentioned that Ms. LaGoy
There's a point of
was on
order,
my property.
Supervisor.
You got something to
and
speak about on the agenda, that's the portion.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the comprehensive plan.
That's not on the agenda.
Right, it's in front of the town.
It's not on the agenda.
That's not on this agenda.
Right, but I wanted to discuss, because she said that my property was disrespectful, my project, and I understand it's not on the agenda, but I did bring up the fact that Ms. LaGoy was on my property tampering and trespassing. Okay.
Yeah, that's why it's not.
No, it isn't. I
It's
think
not
that's
on the
enough,
agenda. You shouldn't be talking
It's
about
not,
it.
it's not.
You have an
come on.
accusation, then
Yep.
I never got a report from the police.
Okay.
I never
This is not
got-
on the agenda,
nothing.
Supervisor. This is
So
supposed to be-
you
I
guys
have, I have photographs.
Dominic,
No, but I have
on the
photographs.
agenda, sit down, please.
But I have photographs of Ms. LaGoy on my property.
You want to give it to us, give it to me.
And you were there, as were the
guys,
responsible
guys,
and Chuck Schumer.
I wasn't there, Ms. LaGoy.
Excuse me,
Mr. Broccoli, stop.
I wasn't there.
Mr. Broccoli, stop for the agenda. Sit down, please. It's done.
Yeah, but I have
Anybody
pictures
else
of
wish,
people
anybody
digging on
else?
my property.
You can give it to me. Anybody else?
I can give you the photos?
You can
Okay.
give them right here.
No problem. And I'm not slandering you, Ms. Legault.
That's
I have photographs of you.
Mr. Broccoli, give me the stuff and
I will
sit
get
down. Anybody else? Thank you. Councilwoman?
Well, I'm just Kenya Gadsden now. Hi Supervisor, Madam Clerk, and members of the board. I just wanted to say thank you to you, Ozzy, because there's been a long commitment to helping out the Fishkill Little League, and it continues to roll forward to benefit the youth in our community. I did ask Mr. Cantor because I know that the drainage system is a problem there, and so I want to make sure that the kids have a nice looking field, but also a field that they can play on. So he said that, we should commend Mr. Cantor for carrying the torch this long on his shoulders to ensure that the Little League continues. And now he is happy to turn it back over to the town where it should rightfully belong. So the garbage being paid for by the town and all those little things that we discussed previously, I'm proud to see that the board agrees that this is something we should do. So kudos to Mr. Cantor and all the volunteers there. I also want to say that seeing the recreation center roof come to a reality where it's leak-free would be great for the seniors who use that building on a regular basis. I can give you all of my notes related to all the things that the leak has caused in the building, but I'm sure that Councilwoman Daniele and Councilman Isvan will have the ability to do that on their own. So I'm confident that that will happen for the seniors. I just would like, if possible, a timeline could be set for the seniors so that they know if and when they will be inconvenienced and out of the building, right? It has taken 2 years for the team over there to get things rolling back to some form of normalcy, and I don't want the seniors to be interrupted and disengaged unnecessarily. So there may need to be some accommodations that they can't use that area or use another portion of the gym, but it should be planned from now. This is just my suggestion. Planned from now until the project starts so that they understand what's happening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kenya. Anybody else? All right.
Can I answer these photos?
You can give them to me, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, so we're done with that. Now we're going to the resolutions. You guys okay with just the resolves?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna get my eyes tuned up here for this. Resolution number 1, set the public hearing. Resolution number 1, public hearing, proposed local law number 3, 2022, installation of stop signs. Now therefore it be resolved, the town board of the town of Fishkill hereby sets a public hearing on proposed local law number 3, introductory of 2022, installing 2 stop signs on March 16th, 7 p.m., or as soon thereafter as Fishkill Town Hall, 807 Route 52, New York. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Foreman, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 2, resolution to waive building department permit fee. Now therefore be resolved as follows. The town board waives the building department permit fees as attached hereto. The town supervisor or any other officer or employee designated by the town supervisor shall take any all necessary action to carry out the provisions of the resolution. Number 3, this resolution shall be effective immediately. I present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Next one is the resolution to modify the 2022 adopted budget for encumbrances. And this is like the end of the year when somebody gets a project on, like a bill for November or December, and we don't pay it yet, so we got to pay it later in the new year. That's what this is about. Now therefore be resolved, the town board of the town of Fishkill hereby approves the request of the controller to modify the 2021 adopted budget for the encumbered funds in the general A, TOVB, Town Highway Townwide DA Highway TOVDB Fund and Blodgett Water WA funds as follows. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. I present this as a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Estevan, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Resolution to, the next one up is resolution to provide one-time service line replacement for certain homes. Now therefore be resolved as follows. Section 1, all whereas paragraphs are incorporated herein. by reference as set forth in full. Section 2, the town board hereby accepts the recommendation of the town project managers and agrees to a one-time replacement of water service lines for Beacon Hills Water District customers as attached hereto, and with such work to be completed as needed at a future date based on the recommendation of the town water system operator. Section 3, the town supervisor or any other officer, employee, or designated town supervisor shall take any and all actions necessary to carry out the provisions of this resolution. Section 4, this resolution shall be effective immediately. I present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Louise, all in favor?
Aye.
Next one, last one, resolution number 5, to enter into agreement with Fishkill Rural Cemetery. Now therefore be resolved as follows. Section 1, all whereas paragraphs are incorporated herein by reference as those set forth in full. Section 2, the town board hereby enters into an agreement as presented by the Fishkill Rural Cemetery and directs the town supervisor to execute any documents necessary to give full effect to the same. Section 3, the town supervisor or any other officer or employee as designated by the town supervisor shall take any and all necessary actions to carry out the provisions of this resolution. Section 4, this resolution shall be effective immediately. I present that as a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? That's Rye. All in favor? Rye.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Items for special consideration. The clerk didn't, the court clerk didn't give you anything for an employee? No. She never came back there and gave it to you?
No.
Okay, thank you. So we have no item for special consideration. Next up, new and old business. Brian, you're up first.
Nothing at this time.
John?
Is this new and old?
Yeah. New and old, you want to add something?
Yep.
Something?
What is the procedure on adding a member, Fishkill resident, to the comprehensive committee?
I decide that.
Okay.
It's a committee.
Is it something we need to make a motion on, or just
No.
you're going to?
That person you want, I'm going to put them on there.
Okay. Next question, does the town of Fishkill employ or have a contract with a grant writer?
No.
Okay.
And we did one grant last year for the, Greg, we did a grant for the firehouse roundabout.
Yes, we did.
What did we get?
$25,000 from the county and municipal investment grant.
So we got $25,000 for a roundabout. So grant writers can be expensive.
Yep.
And,
All right.
so we can do them.
And if I want to add something for discussion at a future meeting, want to make a motion now, or?
You can request it, and as long as you got a second person, we can put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
All right, so I want to make a request to add for discussion on the April 6th meeting to talk about the tow list.
You need a second?
Second.
Okay. So Greg, put that on the agenda?
Yep.
Anything else?
No.
All right. Carmine?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, fellow council, men and women, if I'm saying that right.
Woman.
Woman. I would like to make a recommendation, and we could consider this. Mr. Supervisor, if you do this yourself, I think that'll be great. I want to propose that the Comprehensive Committee appoint the chairman. I did some homework in the past that usually the planning board chair is usually the comprehensive chair of the comp committee. Sorry if I said that wrong. So I would recommend, if Luis, if you can reach out, and this is just my thoughts, if John would actually be the chair, so we have maybe some order of how things are run, because in the past, previous comp plans, the chair was usually the chair of the planning board, and they ran the meeting. So that's just my thoughts.
Well, I'm not sure if we're going to discuss it, because I disagree. I don't think we need.
What are you talking about?
I don't think we need
Comprehensive
a
Yeah.
chairperson. I think it's everybody's equal.
Yeah.
That's what he wanted to set it up as originally.
Who is?
Liz.
Yeah, the CPL engineer is the chair. I'm going to add one person. I'm going to add two people. I'm going to send out an email either tomorrow or Friday, and I'm going to explain the duties and reaffirm what's going on. And everybody's equal on the comprehensive plan. Liz from CPL will be the chairwoman. And what will happen is if that doesn't work out, then I will become the chairman, and then the board members will have to rotate who's going to be at these meetings. So that way, this way we can end any confusion. Sound good?
Sounds very good.
This way there's no,
Sounds
good?
fine.
Sounds good?
Sounds good.
I just want to make sure that we're working toward a common goal, and I think that we need to work together.
Yeah, I think this is a good group. It's balanced, a lot of good ideas, and let's face it, it's a update. It's not a total redo of it. The town is in really nice shape. There's some spots that we're going to look at. Me and John earlier talked about a spot. I think 95% everybody agrees with direction going forward, and I think the other 5% can be worked out.
I think there's a lot of good work that's gone
Yeah.
into this so
Yeah.
far,
I
a
think it's a good thing.
lot of effort. So-
And one last thing, and thank you for your input on that. I just want to make sure, we're working together. That was important for me. Also, my question, and I don't know if we discuss this now or for later on, is that since the COVID restrictions are lifted, when will the town be open from 8 to 4:30 like it normally had been 2 years ago?
Well, I was planning on keeping it the way it is unless you guys want to change it. Because what happens is the employees come in the morning, they get all their paperwork together, then they open up the doors and they're prepared for the workers, the citizens, and then toward the end of the day, when we close, we finish up. So when we start from 9 to 4, we're all up to date, and for the last 2 years, it's been working pretty good. But that'll be a decision up to the board if you want to change that.
Just my thoughts, we have 1 hour less of service to the community, and that's just my thoughts. So if we could just maybe discuss this, put it on the agenda to discuss next.
Ask for the second.
Yeah.
Ask for a second.
Can I have a second to discuss the town board the town hours of operation?
Second.
Right, so, Greg, just put town board hours of operation.
Got it.
Anything else? Louise?
Well, 2 things for new. I just wanted to know if we can actually do something sooner than whenever we have it listed as far as hiring an HR person, because I think we need to put it on Indeed for free. I don't think we should be waiting any longer to see if we're going to spend money on somebody to find somebody, because we haven't been trying to do it for free. So I think if we can find out if that list was looked at, because nobody seems to be working on it, so.
Well, we requested the list.
We're waiting, so,
Let me get the list first.
Yeah.
Let me get the list, and then if that doesn't work out, we'll revisit both of your guys' suggestions.
Well, I think the free suggestion should be the first suggestion before you do anything else.
Absolutely, Louise.
Yeah.
I got an update today that there's a process, unfortunately, because it's on the civil service list, that I've been checking with Sharon every 4 or 5 days, an update. She did give me an update today that now they had to request the list. There's a certain process, and as being a business owner, it takes so long.
No, I know. I'm well aware of what the process is. I just think,
She's pushing as far as fast as she can.
Right, so once we get that, I just want to start the free.
We have to follow civil
do it.
service rules.
I understand what you're saying, Carmen. I understand the civil service rules, and I hear what you're saying about Sharon. So, once that happens, hopefully it'll be soon, so that we can put it out for free and find someone, because the town obviously needs a
We have to go
full-time
off the list.
HR person.
We have to go off the civil service list.
If we can get someone off the civil service list, great, the sooner the better. If not, I'm saying I would appreciate that we try the freeway before we try the
There is a
money
list.
way.
There's a list of people that
Oh, my
she's going
goodness,
through.
Carmen, I hear you. I'm saying what you're saying, so I got it. Let's see if the list is there and go off it first. I hear you. So we'll wait for that.
Okay.
Got
That
it?
sounds good, Louise.
I got it.
Yeah, I got it too, and I don't know why we're going in a circle. So
All
we're
right.
good, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, wait, I'm almost done.
So, Mr.
Also, Supervisor, I had a citizen reach out to me regarding their water bill. I'm not sure if this is a discussion or if we can just figure out what to do, but some people have extenuating circumstances. She has a really high bill because she had medical issues with one of her children. She actually had to take a second job. She's trying to pay the bill off. So I'm just wondering if we can have any kind of installments for water bills.
Are we allowed to do installments?
You are, and in fact, the state just issued guidance allowing municipalities to continue to enter into deferred payment agreements for COVID-19 hardships through July.
Well, when we talk, you want to do it forever, right?
Well, it's not, yeah, I'm just saying extenuating circumstances. I don't think it's the COVID. I mean, she has her own personal issues. That
She has a disabled
She doesn't, she wants to pay it. She just has to do
I
it.
hear what you're saying. The municipality also has authority to enter into installment payments. The difference is that with the COVID-19 payments, there's no interest or penalties that run on it. So if she could claim that she had a COVID-related disability or hardship in paying of some kind, she could take advantage of that. The July period is just for entering into the payment agreements. They can run as long as is reasonable in terms of stretching out the years on payment.
Okay, so I'll check with her to see if it's COVID-related. If not, I'll get back to the board to see if.
And
we
you
need to do
could enter
anything
into a
further.
regular installment agreement, exactly.
Can we do this regardless of COVID? Like, say, 3 years from down the road, we can't do something like that?
You can enter into installment agreements at any time you feel it's cost-effective for the town to do so. However, you're, right,
There is interest and penalties.
under a regular installment agreement, yes, under COVID-19 deferred payment agreement, there is
It
not.
waives those.
I beg your pardon?
So COVID waives those penalties.
Well, yeah, they can't be charged, so there's nothing to waive,
But the
but
board
yeah.
can waive those penalties and fees if they wanted to?
The board has authority to waive fees. You can't just make an ad hoc waiver of it, though. You need some good reason in order to do it. And
I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, like, you know, let's help some people out who are in some
All right, let's-
troubles. You know, I'm
let's-
not saying everybody, I'm just saying if there happened to be one that came, like this woman, that I would present it to the board, not a flat, like, hey, I just don't feel like paying it, you know?
Do I have to do a
that kind of thing.
resolution to do that, or we just do it?
there has to be a formal installment agreement drawn up. It would have to be presented to the board. She would have to agree to enter into it, and then you would adopt it by resolution.
All right, so
All right.
I'll check with her first.
Check with her
and
first
see
if she
and
wants to
get
do
back
that.
to you.
And if so,
Well,
I'll
to
put it on
see
the
if it's
agenda.
COVID related or not, and then I'll get back to you.
Understood, but you gotta remember, you gotta tell her if it's not COVID related, she has to pay the penalty and fees.
You understand COVID-related doesn't necessarily mean that the person has COVID. It could be they've experienced financial
Right,
reverses.
financial hardships because of all of it, right. Gotcha.
Is her water about to be cut off, or is she that
We
close?
won't-
No,
we're not
no,
gonna
it's-
cut nobody's water off.
Brian, it's just, the bill is like $1,600, so she's trying to pay it, and every time
understand.
she goes, it's a 10% penalty that she gets on top of it, so
Yeah.
she's
Thank you,
just trying to
Louise.
stay ahead of it, and she really does want to pay. She's not like someone who
Understood.
just doesn't care,
Yeah.
you know, it's
All
talking
right.
on. Just
Very
one
worthy.
last thing,
It's
Supervisor.
worthy.
I would like to thank all of those that were involved in the police shooting that happened last weekend. All of law enforcement agencies that responded, our fire department personnel and ambulance, and the state police helicopter that did a medical airlift. It just reminds us of the dangers of law enforcement officers have to face each day, especially at the scene of a domestic violence call. You just never know what you're going to respond to when you go there. And that investigation is ongoing through the state police, but we keep the officers and the victim in our thoughts and prayers, hoping that they can heal from this tragic event.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gaba, can I get a couple updates? Where are we with Fishkill Woods? Is that
I'm
almost
still
ready?
working on Fishkill Woods. I'll be getting to that this month, but I'm not there yet.
All right, how about Fox Ridge?
Fox Ridge, I just talked with them about the offers of dedication documents. They will be submitting them soon for review and approval.
Okay, from the previous town attorney, you got the closeout for RUB? Where are we on RUB?
Rub, my partner, Ralph Piali, is working on. I'm going to have to ask him about that. I will get back to you.
And the last one was Paragon. Is that still out there?
Paragon's in the same boat, yeah.
Okay. Next town board meeting is when, the 18th? 16th? All right, so next town board meeting is on the 16th. We're going to go into executive session to discuss discussion of proposed pending or current litigation. So I'll make a motion to leave the regular meeting and go into executive session. So I'll present that as a motion. Can I get a second?
Wait, who
Foreman, all
seconded
in
it?
favor?
Who seconded it? Foreman?
Foreman?
Didn't hear you, John.
John, speak up.
My goodness.
Second.
There
Thank
go.
you.
All in
Wait.
favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, that's us.
Take care. Good night.
That's John.
Okay.
And then when you